Hi, my name is Mel Giannone. I'm a commercial real estate broker serving entrepreneurial companies and individual investors seeking property across the Greater Toronto Area. Welcome to CRE Next, Work Out Loud. Here's what happened this week in CRE. Hello and welcome back everyone to another edition of CRE Next Work Out Loud. So glad you can join me and thanks for sharing your time today. This week in CRE, I want to share with you some insights on the current GTA office market. From a tenant occupier's perspective, we'll tell you what most of your neighbors are doing to navigate this uncertain time. From an owner investor's perspective, we'll reveal what to expect over the next few years in this asset class. Let's begin today by talking a little bit about the state of the office market in the Greater Toronto Area. As a broker, I make a lot of phone calls and even now walk through a lot of buildings so as to stay in touch with my customer base. What I've experienced since coming out from the initial stage 2 back in June up until the start of this last quarter is that the population of employees within most office buildings still remains well under 20% in the suburbs, and less in most buildings within the downtown cores. In fact, I've found the taller the tower, the less percentage of people there were occupying it. While driving around, I can confirm there are more cars and parking lots of industrial warehouses than there are office towers. I came across this sign on the door that best describes the situation we're in. These are still uncertain times for the office market, and the return to the office has been slower than initially thought. At the start of the second quarter, we in the brokerage community started to hear growing concerns about future workplace safety and security. By May, those concerns switched towards rental relief requests from tenants. And by June, we started hearing intentions of modifying the office as a hybrid workspace catering to flexible work schedules. And by July, a flood of subleases had been introduced to the market. First, it was for smaller space, well under 10,000 square feet, from smaller tenants for shorter lengths of time. But by August, we heard announcements for some larger blocks of space coming onto the market more frequently and for longer-term obligations. Tenants are no longer taking a wait-and-see approach, as economic recovery seems to be a long way off. The debate over whether companies choose to keep or shed space has concluded with a clear winner. Cost savings wins out over accommodation. Rather than holding on to their existing space and modifying for the increase in square footage per employee, a growing number of companies have decided to shed portions of their space and reinvest the savings towards the adoption of new technologies that would allow for more remote working and flexible scheduling. Given the sustained global economic downturn, more companies will choose to mitigate risk and improve cash flows over expanding their office footprint. Here's how the numbers are playing out statistically entering this last quarter of 2020. Fundamental shifts are taking place right now that'll have long-term implications for the Greater Toronto office market. Up until the start of the pandemic, downtown Toronto was one of the most active and fastest growing markets in North America, with a vacancy of less than 3% over the last 3 years. Toronto's Central Business District ranked as the 4th largest in North America and held top spot for being the tightest market with the lowest availability. Today, Toronto still ranks high among other North American cities. However, all that momentum has begun to reverse, along with other major cities in the US and Canada. Third quarter absorption of space became negative, with more availabilities coming onto the market than was being leased. During the 6-month period between March 17th and September 11th, following the lockdown, over 2 million square feet of sublet availability was added to the GTA office market. As alluded to just now, the main reason for negative absorption stems from the increasing volume of tenant sublets competing with the existing direct space being offered by landlords. To put into perspective, in Toronto, over 80% of the landlord's direct space had been introduced to the market pre-COVID, while over 70% of tenant subleases were brought on in Q2 and Q3. Overall, across the GTA market, sublease space as a percentage of vacant space now sits above 20%. Particularly felt in the downtown Toronto market, subleases have climbed from over 27% in Q2 to over 35% in Q3. The suburban market has grown its fair share of subleases, now representing over 15% of vacant space. The overall availability rate for the GTA-wide office space market entered double digits for the first time since 2017. Renewals doubled the pace of new deals in the second and third quarters. 2020 will most likely mark the worst performance in at least 7 years, now trending with a 50% year-over-year decline in office leasing volume. The lease-up of both subleases and direct space has been slow due to lockdown measures, restricted showings, and a steep decline in physical leasing and marketing activities. For now, rental rates have increased slightly over Q2. However, the sustained rates are masking other financial incentives being offered to tenants. The scales have started to tip in tenants' favor, as more concessions and inducements have been offered in return for keeping those rental face rates up. Average net rental rates for downtown Toronto hover above $35 per square foot, with discounted subleases saving in some cases up to $10 a square foot, while the suburban market averages above $17.50 per square foot net, with discounted subleases saving approximately $5 a square foot. So, as a tenant, it would not be unreasonable to request 1 month in free net rent for every 12 months committed towards a new 3-year deal. Most tenants who have concluded the office building is where they want to be over the long term and have a handle on how many employees are going to be coming back, they're going to have a growing number of incredible options to choose from going forward. As a result, in an effort to compete with subleases, landlords will be forced to come off their posted asking rates, offer free rent along with robust leasehold improvement packages and allowance on direct space for term commitments that are 5 years or longer. As an investor in the office asset class, here's what you need to know. Asking rates for deals done over the next 24 months will face downward pressure, and it would be reasonable to expect that net effective rents would slide by more than a few dollars in 2021 before stabilizing in 2022. Tenants will be asking you to compete for their business while generally committing for shorter lease terms, requesting expansion, contraction lease provisions, multiple lease termination points, and relocation clauses. Downtown Toronto remains relatively healthier with overall availability below 5%, while the suburbs deal with availabilities between 6 and 10%. Although the GTA West claims the most availability of all geographic nodes, it does have the smallest proportion of subleases available at under 10%. Anticipated trends towards suburban migration from downtown tenants, a decentralized workplace strategy towards more suburban satellite offices, or a move to a hub and spoke office model hasn't yet surfaced in 2020. What we do know is that a majority of subleases introduced to the market is represented by technology companies, better positioned to adopt work-from-home activity, which is affecting the availability rate in the downtown West concentration. Other hard-hit sectors included media, financial tech or fintech, and travel-related businesses which impacted the downtown fringe markets. All these groups had shared the same mindset over the past few years to overlease and stockpile space in preparation for future growth projections. But now, they are among the first to react to the sustained economic downturn by giving back that excess space. Impacts on the office asset class going forward will depend on the balance sheet of occupiers and their ability to create more fluid workforce schedules, adopt remote working, and flexible visits to the office back and forth. With the Canadian employment markets recovering The on-site workplace cannot be replaced entirely, not in terms of labor force productivity, onboarding new talent, in-person relationships fostering company culture, meeting social and collaborative needs. However, the reimagined workplace might change the role of the office and the architectural design of office building construction. Well, that's all for this week. Hopefully you found value in the data presented here, along with the insight into current market conditions, trends, and knowing what the future might look like for the office market class. My goal is to help you save or make a lot of money through these episodes of CRE Next Work Out Loud. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and tap the notification bell so that you don't miss any new content as soon as it's released. Thank you for your time. For real estate opportunities together, I can be reached by telephone at 905-567-5602, by email delivery to mel@paramountrealestate.ca, or communicating through the comment section if you're watching by video or listening via podcast. Until next time, stay well.